Hey guys, welcome back. Coming to you guys with something a little different. I'm sure that most of you, as I have, and a lot of the world has heard about 84-year-old Andrew Lester, who is the man who shot the 17-year-old gifted musician and excellent student who's already had several offers from many colleges named Ralph Yarl. Ralph actually went to pick up his twin brothers from a party, and he mistakenly went to the wrong house and rang the 84-year-old Andrew Lester's doorbell, thinking that he was picking up his two twin brothers. And Mr. Lester fired through the door and shot him in his head and caused damage to his frontal lobe, which has resulted in a traumatic brain injury. And he shot him a second time in the arm. And young Ralph ran to three different neighbors' houses and banged on the door, but no one answered until the third person came. And from what it's alleged, the third person made him hold his arms up in the air and lay down on the ground before they offered him any help. And then they called the police and actually had someone come out to render medical attention to the young man and get him to a hospital where he stayed for a few days. And he's home now and he's doing better per conversation with his mom. Mr. Andrew Lester was taken to the police station and detained there for 24 hours. And then they allowed him to go home, saying that they needed to investigate further. But what is there to investigate? Also, it was said that a racial element was involved when Mr. Lester made a remark that led the authorities to realize that it was a racial element involved. Mr. Lester's grandson did an interview with Don Lemon, and he said, quite frankly, he wasn't surprised. He said that his grandfather had become involved in a lot of conspiracy theories and that it had led to a kind of a separation between he and his grandfather, and that he basically wasn't comfortable anymore, and that he didn't go there anymore, and that was more or less at his grandfather's request. But I'm going to let you guys watch the interview with Don Lemon and let me know what you think at the end.
Now to Andrew Lester, the white homeowner who is accused of shooting a black 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. He pled not guilty yesterday to 2 felonies. Lester told police that he was scared to death of Yarl due to his size. Now, Lester is 84 years old, was released on bond. He is due back in court June 1st. Prosecuting attorney said there was a racial component to this case. Miraculously, Yarl is back at home, recovering from his injuries after 3 days in the hospital. This is a picture of him taken yesterday with his lawyer, Lee Merritt. So joining us now is Clint Ludwig. He is the grandson of Andrew Lester, and we always like to get a perspective on the thinking of someone who knows him, why they might do this. So, Clint, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So what is your reaction? What was your reaction when you heard that your grandfather shot Ralph Yarl for ringing his doorbell?
I was disgusted. I thought it was terrible. Myself and my family stand with Ralph Yarl and seeking justice. This is a horrible tragedy. It never should have happened.
Folks are going to want to know, why are you speaking out and apparently against your grandfather?
It's the right thing to do. This country, it happens over and over again where people get away with killing unarmed, innocent black people, and I would have had the same energy for any other case like I've had over and over again in this country, like I said. But so it's the right thing to do, and people need to speak out and not make any excuses for this kind of behavior and this violence.
So you said for killing innocent black people. The prosecutor in this case has suggested there was a racial component to it. Do you believe your grandfather is racist?
I believe he holds racist tendencies and beliefs.
Why do you say that?
He's just a stock American Christian male. It's older, that's just how they are. It's the conspiracies and weird random racist things they say, and it doesn't make sense, but they're just scared.
Now, listen, you're generalizing a lot here about, you said, older Christian white males, but what do you mean by that? What do you mean they're scared? Talk to me more, please. I feel like a lot of people of that generation are caught up in this 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia perpetuated by some other news stations, and he was fully into that, sit and watch Fox News all day, every day, blaring in his living room. And I think that stuff really kind of reinforces this negative view of minority groups and leads people to be it doesn't necessarily lead people to be racist, but it reinforces and galvanizes racist people and their beliefs. Now, apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, Clint, you said that your grandfather would say or do things, apparently that you did not subscribe to that caused you to distance yourself from him. Say and do things like what?
That's right. A lot of it was the kind of QAnon level conspiracies about election denying, and then they got really weird with some Fauci dogs. I really didn't know what that meant, but I would push back on some of this stuff, and he couldn't handle being pushed back on. And at a certain point, we kind of lost touch, and I think it was more of his choice than mine.
Did he say or do things that you found offensive about minorities or people of color?
Yes, he would say some things. I can't remember exactly now all that happened, but I know he had something about, had a really hot take about abortion and how something about black women getting abortions, and I didn't know what he was talking about, but I said, I don't really want to talk to you about this anymore. This is racist and it's dumb, so let's move on. And I pushed back, and he didn't like that either at the time.
So, listen, the Kansas City Star also spoke to your brother. Your brother's name is Daniel Ludwig, and he said it seems like a bunch of mistakes in a row that resulted in the tragedy. I mean, a lot of mistakes all the way around. Unfortunately, if you look at the affidavit, there were actions taken that caused my grandpa's side isn't being reported. And he is saying that your grandfather is not racist. He doesn't believe that.
You can say that. I think he's running defense a little bit. I don't think he sees him for who he is.
Did your grandfather have a gun or more weapons in the house?
They were all over, yes.
What do you mean, they?
The guns were all over. He had them stashed in some spots and had a big locker full of them. But yeah, he was ready to defend his home, as he would say.
Considering the recent history, I mean, is this a recent history that you found your grandfather? Is that why you pulled away from him? Has he always been this way, or is this something new?
I feel like he's been pretty conservative for a long time, which is fine. But feel like in the last 5 or 6 years, it's really ramped up. He was a huge Trump supporter, and between that and then the galvanizing that people have been feeling lately with politicians and ideologues co-signing, violence and domestic violence, domestic terrorism, and even pardoning people who murder other people for differing political beliefs. I feel like all that stuff has really ramped up his beliefs and radicalized him a little bit.
I'm just wondering, because we've been covering these, and there are usually, not always, there are warning signs. You feel like the warning signs were there. That's why I asked you if this is something that happened recently.
I believe so. The warning signs were there. I wasn't shocked when I heard the news. I believed it.
And he did live alone?
Up until recently, his wife lived there, but yes, he was living alone at the time.
Until recently, his wife lived there. She didn't live there.
She wasn't there at the time, no.
She wasn't there. What message do you have for Ralph Yarl and his family? What?
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Ralph. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I understand you're an amazing kid, and I think you're going to grow up to be an amazing man. And you didn't do anything wrong. The outpouring of support that the country has shown to you, I think, says more than I ever could say. And I'm really thankful for Sean King for making this a national news story, and the people getting out in the streets and demanding attention. And Ralph, you don't deserve to have your life fundamentally changed like you had it, and you deserve justice, and my family stands with you.
Have you reached out to the Yarls?
No, no. I don't really know how. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So,
well, I think that we'll make sure that they see this. I just want to know, what message do you have for your grandfather?
I really don't know what to say to him. I'm really sad this happened. He didn't need to do this. This didn't have to happen. He didn't need to be scared of a young kid coming to his door at night. It's absurd. He needs to get his paranoia, and this isn't just for him too. A lot of people in the world, the paranoia and atomizing the society it's going to lead to some really bad stuff. And we're not doing anything to fix it. We're just getting galvanized and staying at home alone.
Clint Ludwig, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Now, you know, guys, I have a lot of respect for that young man, because a lot of people would not come out against their family members under any circumstances. And I'm not saying that he's against them. He's just saying what he feels has happened in his grandfather's life. And a lot of people wouldn't come out and make the kind of remark about the victim the way that he did. He said that he and his family supported Ralph, and that, you know, Ralph had not done anything wrong, and that Ralph did not deserve what happened to him, and that from all he had seen, that he was a good young man, and he is a good young man. He's been recruited by several Ivy League colleges, and he's a gifted musician, and he plays sports. I mean, the young man, 17 years old, was driving to pick up his little brothers. That makes him responsible in my eyes right there. His mom says that he's not in the streets doing crazy stuff, that the biggest argument she ever had with him was doing his English homework over his music. She said he felt that English was boring and that he would rather do his music. So guys, when we have young people who are gifted and talented and inspired and have goals and on their way places, we need to support them. And a lot of support came out for him, because when they arrested Mr. Lester and then let him out the next morning, people came from everywhere and protested, and they stirred up things so much there that Mr. Lester actually had to go into court, and he was charged with 2 felonies. He wasn't charged with attempted murder, but he was charged with 2 felonies. And at the age that he is, any sentence for him is probably going to end up being life in prison. Okay, guys, thank you all again for coming. Please leave your comments. You know I love your comments, and I appreciate your support. I have had so many of you guys support me, and recently I've had quite a number of people to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2,000. I'm far away. But guys, I know that you're going to come out for me, and I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate my current subscribers who have been faithful, and they give me wonderful feedback. I love talking to you guys, and you all know, my current subscribers, that I will get back to you, usually within a day or so. But if I can't, and it might take a week or two, I usually get back to you. Also, if you're new to the channel, go on and hit that subscribe button for me, and tap on that notification bell if you want to get updates immediately. We do a lot of different stories here. Also, Tap on that like button. That's important because that gets it up in the rankings, and that allows other people in other states and even in other countries, because I got people from other countries who support me, and I love it. Um, Guys, also leave me a comment in the comment section, and I want you all to remember something. Whoever is listening, I want you guys to remember something. If we see a bird, a beautiful bird, and it's a cardinal or it's just a red bird, it's a bird. We love them. They're beautiful. If we see a hummingbird or a mockingbird, or if we see, I've actually have woodpeckers in my area. Most people don't even believe that they exist, but they do exist. I have woodpeckers. It's pigeons in areas. It's all type of beautiful, beautiful birds. They're birds. Bluebirds, jaybirds, whatever birds, they're birds. Why can't we as a people look at one another as just human? We don't need to see black or white or Asian or Jewish or Spanish, or we don't need to see all of that. We need to just see one another as humans. Thank you for coming, and much love to you guys. Smooches.